Hello and welcome to David Photography. Today we are going to look at taking pictures of the moon but using the camera with no tripod, so handheld. Now I'm going to show you some of the ways of taking it, how to solve problems. So let's get started with today's show and see how it goes. Okay, so let's get started. 1. Set your ISO to 200. The moon is very bright, so that is the best one to use. 2. Set your white balance to daylight, once again for the same reason. 3. Set your lens to manual focus, since your camera will never focus on the moon due to its distance away. And 4. Set your camera to manual, because all your settings you will have to set yourself, and I've already given you most of them, so let's see what pictures we can get and how to solve any problems that we can see from this. Okay, we are starting with a 40 to 150 millimeter lens set at 150 millimeters. This means it will be set aperture at 5.6 because that is the lens. We are going to start with 8 is the shutter speed, and let's say that it looks like this. It's far too bright, so we're going to have to change that and make the shutter speed faster. We have now kept all the other settings exactly the same, except we've changed in this photo to 20 as the shutter speed. So as you see, still a bit too bright, but you're actually picking up a star in this one that you didn't have in the last one. So let's go faster again. Now we're at 100. It's still far too bright, so let's make a bigger jump than the little jumps that we've been making so far and see if we can get the picture right. Okay, we're now at 640. As you can see, we've now lost the brightness. You now have detail on the moon, so therefore this is a good shutter speed to have for this lens. So you can continue taking pictures using this lens, but don't forget the moon here is still rather small. 150 millimeters will not give you piles of detail and will not give you a close-up shot. So let's do another change. Now you've found out that if it's too bright, you have to make the shutter speed faster to bring less light into the camera. So let's move to the next lens. Now we're hand holding and we're now using a 300 millimeter lens. Now the lens now is set at 1 to 50. As you see, the moon is now bigger, but the slight bit too dark, and see what happens now the opposite way. Now we're at 640. Now don't forget, hand holding the camera, it's very hard to find the moon. The more bigger the millimeter the lens is, the harder it is to find, and you will have to physically try and move the camera up and down and left and right slowly, looking through either the screen or the viewfinder, looking for lightness. Once you find it bright light, you can then realize that that is the moon giving off its light, and try and keep still once you get the moon in your view. This is much harder the bigger the millimeters the lens is. That's why it's best to use a tripod. But as you see, not impossible to do handheld. So let's look at one more picture of the moon at this 300 millimeters. This setting is at 250. Now you may ask, why is this setting 250 to get this image, and at 150 it was 640 to get a very similar image? This is due to that this is a 300 millimeter lens and it has an adapter on. Because it's different, you have different numbers for each lens that you have, so therefore you can't use the same values but somewhere close to it to get your picture clear and ready. Let's look at the next bit. Okay, we've looked at the moon being too bright and we've looked at it being too dark. Now here is something different. This is that the moon is just not focused. What you need to do is move the focusing ring until the outer part of this circle joins that little round, very bright circular bit near the middle. When you hit that point, you will then be focused on the moon. This is a 500 millimeter lens. One, it's bigger, heavier, but it is much harder to find the moon with it, and to be able to keep the camera still, to be able to take the photo. Let's see what the next picture's like. Okay, depending on the camera you're using, if it has image stabilization in body, that might help you. Now, this is actually the best image I could get handheld, and spending much more time trying to find the moon, never mind trying to keep the camera still long enough to take the picture. We are actually at 1/200, or 200 showing up on your dial on the camera to get this picture. So there you go. You can get pictures of the moon handheld. It's not easy, but this was just a few ways of helping you get some pictures that you can use. I hope this helped, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.